Yeah, my name's Jonny Fry. I've been involved in the asset management industry in various different shapes and forms since the late 80s. Set up a fund management business, and then we went and acquired Brewing Dolphins Unit Trust Company. So it was quite a long time ago, Unit Trust, and that had a range of funds here in the UK and a range of funds in Luxembourg. And I ran that as the CEO and floated on the London Stock Exchange and all that sort of stuff. The company still exists. Premier Miton got around about 10 billion under management. More recently, I've been chairman of a fund administration company called Gemini Capital that does third-party administration for a number of different funds based out in Dublin. And over the last 7 or 8 years, I've been looking at who, how, where and why blockchain technology and digital assets are being used. So that's a bit of background to sort of what I do.
How did you got involved with TURN, and tell me about the relationship between blockchain boom and TURN?
Sure. I knew some of the people that were involved in Tizer, which has been a fantastic success in the industry, helping to reduce the friction and the time to move your money from one asset manager to another with your ISA. And they had gone and spoken to the asset managers and said, well, what's the next thing you're looking at? And they talked about kids. And I thought, well, my kids are grown up, so let's go and look at someone else's kids. And obviously that's key information document. So I was interested in how could you use blockchain technology? And for me, the word that always springs to mind is transparency. So with a blockchain, it's no more than an Excel spreadsheet on steroids. We shouldn't get too worried about the technology, but what it can do is really, really important because it can bring a lot more transparency and therefore you get trust. And trust is a key component for having confidence, and that's a key criteria for the regulators. They want us to have confidence in the financial markets. So I see what TURN are building is actually really, really important from a reporting point of view. And I look at it in 2 ways. The asset managers are putting information up and it's time stamped and dated. So the regulators can say, well, when did you do it? Where's that information? And there's an immutable, if you like, database ledger of what they've done. And then on the other side of the platform, you've got the wealth advisors and financial advisors who are buying these funds and want to get updates. Instead of going to multiple different locations, they go to the one platform, get the information from a number of different asset managers, and then draw it down. So it solves a challenge that actually the buyers and the sellers in the asset management face. And that seems to be quite a neat use of an interesting technology.
Amazing. With TURN building a product, one of its main features in the product is the flagging system that is very important into the industry. How do you think that the TURN approach into building the product on a blockchain, having the flagging system, having that if the set of data is not good and one part is flagging it, and at the same time everyone is alerted and then gets alerted to those who download the data or those who are interested in that data, how do you think that is a game changer in the industry? What is new? What TURN brings new into the industry?
Well, again, I'll go back to the word transparency. So a fund buyer finds that there's a problem, or the asset managers realise that there has been a problem, and they can flag that, they can identify that. And instead of having to send an email or phone people up or send a carrier pigeon out, it's there. And there's a time and date stamp. When did they put it up? So if the regulator wants to come back and question it, or if the shareholders of the asset management company or the wealth, well, when did that get? You can see it's much greater transparency. It's much, much more efficient. And it's much more environmentally friendly because we're not printing off bits of paper. So it's all those attributes of a blockchain technology. Let's not get carried away. Blockchain is not the silver bullet. It's not suitable in every circumstance. But when you want to create a database that can be shared, then it actually becomes a very interesting technology. And that's why I was intrigued and pleased that TURN decided to use that particular technology in this sense.
You are part of the board of TURN. What made you be part of the board? What was one of the things that attracted you to not only being part of being kind of a customer, you just being part and taking part of, in the transformation of what TURN is? What was the thing that brought you being board of TURN?
Well, the main thing I joined was because I understood that the CEO was a chap called Bond, and I thought it was James Bond. But I was hugely disappointed to find it was Gaza, Gary Bond. Joking apart, Gary has an interesting track record of solving tech challenges in the asset management industry going back for many years. And so if anyone's going to make this happen, Gary has more chance than anyone that I certainly know of. And I see what they're trying to do is something which there is a genuine need and demand for. And therefore I was delighted to be asked to the board because I know a little bit about running an asset management business, because I know a little bit about this technology, I thought, well, I could bring those skills to bear. I'm not a technologist, but I know enough about the technology to see some of the commercial applications, and that's where I think I can add value to the board going forward, as well as having run an asset management business. So, and it was a small one, let's be honest, we started literally from my bedroom. I was at the cutting edge of technology. I bought a TV with teletext on it because it was a 15-minute time delay of prices coming from the stock exchange. So it was better than yesterday's copy of the Times, the Telegraph, the FT, whatever, because I was 15 minutes late. So it was cutting edge technology. To be fair, things have moved on a lot since then. But my point is that we have to keep embracing technology because it can give much greater clarity, it can bring efficiencies, and it challenges us, which I think is a good thing. Because ultimately, and it's very opportune timing, and maybe TURN has been a little fortunate here, because this whole topic of consumer duty is really, really important, and obviously boards are now having to report in July this year, what are you doing about consumer duty? And I see once the TURN platform is there, it's another small piece in the infrastructure that'll help the industry improve its consumer duty credentials.
Amazing. From your experience of, within the asset management, what would be the top 3 things that you would, tell asset managers to come to TURN and use TURN?
Well, I think what TURN will be able to provide from the asset manager's point of view is actually, first of all, an independent reporting platform. So that's really important. Let me go back. When you're running an asset management business, you have, in my opinion, you have 2 assets. One is your staff, and the most important one is actually your regulatory license. And therefore, if you're running an asset management business, you're always very focused on what are we doing, how are we doing it, and are we making sure that we comply with the rules and regulations. And ideally, you want to make sure you're one step ahead, and therefore you're using systems and processes which are very accountable. And I think TURN is good in that sense. So it's a good reporting system for the asset management industry. The second advantage which the asset manager will find, it's a much more environmentally friendly and efficient way to disseminate information, so that they'll load it up and then the information will be there for their buyers. So that makes it more efficient for them, and it makes it more efficient for the buyers on the other side. And then I'd say the third advantage is that I may say and may think that, my American Smaller Companies Fund, that's what everyone's interested in. But actually I find the buyers are coming in and they're looking at my fixed interest fund. So I need to listen to my customers. They don't want me to send my sales reps to talk about US smaller companies. They want more information about, say, my fixed interest fund. So I think they can be more attuned to what their customers want. And that's something you just have to do. You have to listen to your clients and not assume that you know better, because ultimately your clients are the ones that are buying your funds and supporting you. Amazing.
One of the key parts of TURN and mantras of TURN is that it's built for the industry and by the industry. And I think transparent, collaborative, forged from the industry inside, innovation that stays at the forefront of TURN. Now, if there would be things that you want to see at TURN doing, what would you be as a, giving some advice from an asset management perspective? Think as an asset manager, what would you like you as an asset manager to see from TURN?
I would like to see TURN to have a platform that actually embraces different types of funds, open-ended funds, closed-end funds, traditional funds that we have at the moment. There's a whole suite of tokenized funds. If we take just the money market sector, for example, that's $9 trillion in size. Now in the UK it's only 50 billion, whereas in Europe it's 1.7 trillion, and in America it's over 6 trillion. Now, I think as an asset manager to be aware of that, and if that platform, that information is there, I think that can help us to have as asset managers, a different perspective on, in that case, it's money market funds. So I'd like to see TURN being used in a range of different, not only funds available for, if you like, retail investors, but also institutional investors, because I think the asset managers will be able to learn from that. And I certainly want them to be able to cater for this increasing digitisation that we're seeing of different assets. And I think that's really important, because the asset management industry potentially faces a big risk. And the risk is that if you take in the UK, we have 33 million taxpayers, of which only 380 odd thousand of them utilise their capital gains tax allowance. And if we see the digitisation of assets, equities, bonds, real estate, then it puts a question as the fund wrapper. Why are we paying 50, 100 basis points for a fund wrapper to be able to trade tax-free when actually most people don't utilise their allowances? So are we going to see the asset managers going back to be like portfolio managers, like your stockbroker in the past, and managing individual equities for you? But it won't be individuals, it'll be run by a bot. And then fund managers themselves, the wrapper, is it going to come under pressure? So I think we need to be very mindful of that. And remember, it's not our money. This money is, we're being trusted with the guardians for the end client. And I think that's something we need to be cognizant of, that we've been given a very privileged position looking after other people's money.
Amazing.